Part two. I don't even know what the name is gonna be. But my wife, she was like, I come home and wanna, you know, make some love and stuff. She like, well, every time you always just wanna have sex, no romance. And I'm like, huh? You know, and I'm thinking, so I try to remember, what do you want to romance? Well, you know, I just want to just sit down and just have a regular conversation. Okay, well, what do you want to talk about? I don't know. You know, just talk. You know, I'm like, all right. But her form of talking is just, I'm just listening, right? And then I'll come home and I'm like, okay, let's talk. Well, you know, I want to play video games tonight. I was like, okay. And then next day, okay, let's talk. Well, I want to read. You know, I need my own time and da 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 da. And at first it was bothering me and stuff, you know. And I was like, oh man, you know, me and my wife and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm in Japan and I didn't marry for love and you know what? I could go out and she don't even care and whatever. So I just said, okay, I just had to start remember how I used to be, you know. If I wasn't getting no sex for like 2 days in a row and I don't get it, I'll forget about it. I mean, I would totally forget about it. I won't even think about it no more, you know. And I'll just be out having fun because when I go to clubs, I don't go to trying to have sex and stuff, you know. I just go out and have a good time and stuff. And, you know, it took me a little while to realize that, hey, I'm slipping. You know, she putting those seeds, you know, oh, you too much this and too much that and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, okay, whatever, you know. But it probably ain't even that, you know. She probably because she's tired and she's starting to gain a little weight, so I try to push her to exercise and, you know, maybe her, and she's insecure about something. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I got to, you know, do all that stuff. But, I mean, you know, it's, you know, my wife, she goes off on me, too. Why'd you come home? And da-da-da, and da-da-da. I'm like, huh? 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 That's all I was saying, like, what? And sometimes I'll listen to her, you know, because I just listen to her and stuff. Why you da-da-da? I'm like, does it matter? You don't care. When you going to club, Saul? You talking to girls, Saul? What, you care? Are you gonna make love to me? You gonna kiss me? What you gonna do? But you know, I don't know nothing. All I know is I come home and you know, you say you want to do this and I do it the next day and you know, like a fool, do it the next day, you know, getting trained and stuff, right? And all this stuff, man, I was like, forget it, you know. But, like I said, you know, I had to go through this stuff too, but I mean, man, the stories I hear, man, like, man, it's a trip, and you just walking down the street, you just see what's going on. You go to these restaurants, and these guys, these beautiful wives and their kids, and no communication at all, or sometimes the girl just sitting there going, and the kids running around, and you know, but it's no bad, it's nothing bad about the kids running around because they do that. It's okay out here. But they just be yakking, and you know, her husband, he'll be on a K-tie, you know, doing mail while she running off at the mouth, or he might be running off at the mouth. She's sitting there like, dang, man, I didn't even want to go to dinner with this dude, you know what I'm saying? Hurry up if we go home so I can go meet my girls or go do something else, you know, and it's a trip. So, like these guys, you know, they tell you he on there talking all that crap, but you know the sisters laying it to him. I mean, if the sisters, if you know, you just got some women that just gonna go off on, they don't care who it is, and that romance run out real quick, and she can be like, you know, I like my new husband, but you know, he real short, you know, and when he's on top of me, you know, it's almost like I'm holding a baby, and you know, and it's a trip, you know. And these girls, I mean, they be talking and stuff, you know. And if he talk, okay, you know, or you know, it's just a trip, and I mean, it's a trip. So I wouldn't even be jealous, you know what I'm saying? You know, if they want to be with him, go ahead, because you know I mean, you know, they ain't matching up. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. You know, they ain't matching up. You know, I was on here with this one Chinese dude talking about, you know, on Chinese culture and all that stuff. And I was saying this, he said, oh, you know, I ain't watching that BS. Black fruit was their culture, and they all trying to claim everything, and they don't even know what the meaning of black will be talking about in the first place and stuff, you know. I'm like, all right, whatever, you know, I don't care, because I know them pyramids was standing up long before China was, you know what I'm saying? And then he was talking crap. And I said, you know, only reason China's one country is saying it is just because of a black guy. No, it wasn't. I said his name was Eugene something. He was half black and half Chinese, and a white guy's trying to do is split it up and something. And, you know, because of him, China still got their culture and stuff intact, you know, and everything, you know. And he moved to Peru or Chile or something like that, you know, or Brazil or something like that, you know. And I said, bitch, you didn't even know that. You know, you talking all this crap, you know. And, you know, I mean, they just don't stack up. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? It's like my son, you know, they talking about, you know, we the furthest away, you know, this, and, you know, from a monkey, you know, and all this stuff. And I'm saying, well, at the end of that monkey thing, you know, you got a white man. I look at all them pictures, and I don't see no black man in there, or no one that look like me anyway. You know, and they say, oh, it's the monkey. I mean, but monkeys got white skin. They got big ears. They got thin lips. They got, you know, look at their big old eyes and stuff like that. So I don't know who you're talking about, you know. But you go ahead and make yourself feel how you want to feel, because, you know, I don't care. That's on you and stuff, you know. And, you know, it was just a trip, you know. And then finally, you know, he just said, you know, well, I ain't really got nothing against black people, you know, but it's just that people trying to claim our culture and stuff. You know, you said you trying to claim our culture. And I said, I ain't trying to claim your culture. I didn't say that. You know, I just said people were in China first, and when the blacks were in China first, and you know, I said, plus back a long time ago, China wasn't even around. It's just a land, you know. So, you know, what's going on and stuff. You're just tripping off of and stuff, you know. But I don't know. It's just a trip, you know. But you brothers, you know, you gotta understand that the only reason we got in our predicament is because of you know, just lack of defense. You know, that was it. I mean, you read a lot of these books, and it was just, you know, we didn't have any authority to protect us. You know what I'm saying? And you didn't have weapons, so whatever, you know. So that's it. But I mean, like, it's a trip. You know, I want to change the subject. I got a few more minutes. So, it's a trip too, because like here go another thing, right? So a white guy come home with his girl, and his girl like, you know, you're such an asshole. You know, you didn't have to say that to that black guy, or to that Chinese guy or whatever. You know, they ain't nothing. They monkeys. And she like, what do you mean they monkeys? You look at you. You ain't nothing. You're not rich. You're not this. You know, you might got money, or if you are rich, or you are this, look at you. You're just a bum. You ain't got no life. The sex is sorry with you, this and that. I'm bored. The kids are bored. You know, you doing this run around here making yourself think you all cool, you know, but you're miserable too, you know. And then the sisters go off on the brother and stuff, you know, brother thinking, oh, yeah, you know, baby this and that. You're like, don't baby me, you know. You go to work and get beat down by the white dude, come home and get all angry and, you know, taking it on us and stuff, you know. Why don't you just be a man, you know? And they be going off, you know what I'm saying? These Asian women be going off, even though I'm probably repeating myself and stuff, you know. But it's a trip, you know. But these women eventually turn around and say to their man, hey, you know, just because you white, you ain't nothing, you know. I don't see why they scared of you. You ain't nothing, you know. Or, you know, sister might say to the brother, well, you think you all tough and all this, you might bling bling, but the white man come over here and take your bling bling, and what you gonna do? Well, I'm gonna do this. You ain't gonna do nothing. Shut up, because he called the cops, a whole bunch come over here, and you just be tossed in jail. You know what I'm saying? You don't be playing that tough guy stuff. You know, you can't do that around me. You know, or then the Asian guys, you know, the wives be getting all mad and saying, you know, you just think you all tough, you know, but you just short and you little and it ain't no fun. And, you know, you too fast, and this and that, and this and that. You know, and they be going after the men's manhood. You know what I'm saying? And then these guys are like, oh, you know, my wife ain't no good. And she said I'm this and I'm that. You know, they all crying and stuff. So then they run off and go interculturally and mess with these other women. And what they don't understand is with these girls they with, you know, once that romance go away, man, they going to be doing the same thing to you that they doing to they own man, except for the only thing is you're in love because you got someone, you're in an intercultural, so you let me, you know, you're not gonna let all her insults bother you so much, you know, like you would if you was with your own woman and she just tearing you down. Next thing you know, you all 30, 40, bald, out of shape, and you know what I'm saying, and all crying with wife and this and that. And, you know, it's a trip. It's a trip. I'm telling you, I see this stuff out here. Yeah, it's a trip. So, you know, you brothers, you know, I think y'all need to get your acts together. I got another video I want to talk about that. But I wouldn't be jealous, you know. They walk down the street and the Asian dude and the sister, you mean, I'll laugh. You know what I'm saying? He look at you and just laugh at his ass, and that's it. And keep on walking. Peace.